Okay, so Starbreeze are back in the office after their time off in July, and they've begun giving us more information about the upcoming delivery charge heist. We've got a look at the new favors for this heist, which in the past has been confirmed to be a major focus for the team this time round. We've also got confirmation of the DLC's price tag, as well as some other bits of information about the heist itself, which we'll take a look at shortly. It's not all good news, however, as the heist's initial August release date has been delayed, and it's now slated for an early September release. On top of all of the delivery charge information, Starbreeze recently confirmed that a new general manager of the Payday franchise has been brought onto the team, Jonas Skantz. It seems like his arrival fills the concerningly vacant role at the helm of the Payday franchise overall, left by Almir when he left the company a couple of months back. Jonas and the company's new CEO, Adolf Christiansen, may have worked together in the past, as both new members of the Starbreeze team previously worked for EA. From the brief description of Jonas's career given in the post announcing his new position in the company, it seems like he's certainly worked with some big titles, including Battlefield, Star Wars, and the Need for Speed franchise as well. Of course, we have no idea how much of a public-facing presence Jonas is going to have. Obviously, Almir had built up a lot of rapport with the community over his years at Starbreeze, but a lot of that was built up before he became the global brand director for Payday, so it's not necessarily going to be the same case for Jonas. I also wanted to point out that although there is a distinction between Jonas's role as the general manager of Payday and Almir's as the global brand director, it seems like that distinction might just be in name alone. The description of Jonas's role explains that he's been tasked with steering the franchise's creative and commercial direction, which isn't too far from what I understand Almir was doing before. We'll come to learn how much of Jonas we're actually going to see on a regular basis in the fullness of time, but even if we don't see him so often, it would be really nice to see him appear on a live stream at some point, similar to how AK made a brief appearance on stream shortly after he joined the company. Anyway, it's time we talk about Payday 3's upcoming heist.
If I just stay quiet, they probably won't notice that I'm... Hi, I'm Joey.
The delivery charge heist, now coming in early September as we discussed before, will have a price tag of $7.99, making it one of the game's more pricier DLCs, especially considering it was recently confirmed that, excluding some Twitch drops, there won't be any other content in this update besides for the heist itself. For the sake of transparency, I have now got access to a build of the heist, so while we discuss the heist in this video, I'm just going to be sticking to what was covered on the live stream and in the most recent blog post. I will, of course, have a full video breaking down the entire heist and my thoughts on it, releasing around update day. So if you would like to hear my thoughts on the heist, or you're enjoying this video so far, all I ask is that you consider clicking that subscribe button. In fact, once the heist is out, I'll stream for 1 minute for each person that subscribes between now and the day the heist releases. Anyway, the recent blog post gives us a brief overview of the heist's setting, confirming the dockside setting that I thought this heist might have when we spoke about the teaser a couple of weeks ago, mentioning that it takes place inside an armored transport depot owned by Gensec that's recently received a significantly increased investment, if you know you know, from the Palatucci crime family in order to protect their cash from the Payday gang. The blog goes on to explain that this heist gives the player a lot of different options for how they want to play it, mentioning that there are multiple different points of entry and randomization. Randomized events were something that we were told to expect from this heist way back when Party Powder released, so that doesn't really come as a big surprise. Something else this blog highlights before we move on to the new approach to favors is that there are some notable changes tied to different difficulties. This was something that a lot of Payday 2 heists did as well, with certain environmental differences or objective changes being present on Mayhem difficulty or above, and that seems to have been brought back with the delivery charge heist. The blog post lists 9 different difficulty related changes, ranging from things like certain doors being left unlocked and there being more randomized key items present on the easier difficulties, all the way to certain traversal points being inaccessible on harder difficulties based on RNG, and even adding some extra steps for objectives objectives on harder difficulties. Having certain differences baked into the actual difficulty a certain heist is played on does wonders for the balance, as it allows more seasoned players to be continuously challenged by the heist, as they are more likely to be playing on the higher difficulties, but it also keeps the easier difficulties more accessible for newer players. Improving the onboarding process for Payday 3's newer players is something that the team have made quite clear they're focusing on. The smash and grab heists are a perfect example of that. The entire last update was essentially handmade for newer players. But even then, those smash and grab heists, especially the bank withdrawal one, did have some harder objective types if you played on the harder difficulties. So we started to see that philosophy there, and we're seeing it more so here. Having the heist get more complicated as the difficulty increases, instead of the difficulty only affecting the enemies and their behavior, is an excellent way to keep the heist feeling fresh for players who start on the easier difficulties and then want to work their way up to the harder ones as they learn and eventually come to master the heist. As these 9 examples aren't really specific, especially some of the more potentially impactful ones like the addition of steps for certain objectives, it's hard to gauge how much they are actually going to contribute to keeping the gameplay fresh, but the potential is certainly there. So, a new approach to Favours is something that was spoken about again around the time of Party Powder's release, and now we have our first look at what exactly that means. For starters, you're going to be able to purchase the delivery charge Favours from the menus themselves. You won't have to spend time grinding out other heists just for a chance of getting a favour for delivery charge. You can buy them straight away. There are 4 unique favours available for the delivery charge heist, meaning that a full team could in theory run all 4 favours at once, though unfortunately this isn't something you're going to be able to do as a solo player, as the favour system currently only allows each player in a lobby to select one favour. Given the impact these favours look like they're going to have on the heist, I'd love to see the ability for them all to be equipped at once on a solo run retroactively added at some point in the future, even if that was something exclusive to solo mode. I'm not necessarily calling for players to have the ability to choose multiple favours in an online match, as I can understand that would get quite frustrating if you joined a lobby and then somebody else just put all their favours down so you don't get to choose one for yourself. But anyway, the first delivery charge favour, Max Capacity, places more loot around the heist, but in order to keep that loot secure, the guards have set up security drones to make stealthing the heist harder. The second favour, Refrigerated Tech, sees some additional loot added to the heist that needs to be kept at a low temperature, similarly to the 99 boxes heist, or else it'll degrade in value. The third and most traditional favour, Boat Arrival, allows the gang to begin and end the heist at a little dinghy on the waterfront. And last but not least, the final favour, Road Rage Redux, adds an armoured transport vehicle that you'll need to escort to a flatbed pickup truck, similarly to Road Rage with a remote steering device. The goal with this new approach to favours is to offer the player a chance to change up how the heist is played and increase replayability. The lead level designer even said in a Q&A towards the end of the blog post that if players only take one thing away from this heist, it should be that they are the ones in the driver's seat, having control over how to approach the heist and customize it to their own liking. It looks like there's also a chance for another armoured transport truck to arrive at the depot, provided you remain in stealth. It doesn't seem to be tied to any of the favours we just spoke about, and is instead just an example of the kind of randomised events we'll be able to see in this heist. Let me know what you think of this new approach to favours in the comment section down below, and if you're looking for more insight into the philosophy behind the map, I suggest checking out the Q&A with that lead level designer we referred to before. There's a bunch of other questions in there that probably aren't worth covering in this video, but are worth reading if you want to know some more about the development of this heist. I'd also suggest checking out the recent News with Dev stream, where Elizabeth gave a flyover of the map and showed off a lot of the elements we've discussed in this video. If you're just after more delivery charge discussion, you can click the video on screen now to see my breakdown of the initial teaser trailer for the heist, and I'm sure we'll be back soon with more information about the upcoming update. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.